Daily may go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another of CCJL's Carbon Chemicals live Zoom session. This afternoon, we're going to be looking on sweet pepper production, Caribbean chemicals way, and we'll be focusing mostly on crop nutrition as it relates to how our products can improve your production. No, I've been asked to make this a very interactive session. However, I think I want to do so, but I'd rather make it concise as possible and precise in terms of how straightforward the information is delivered to you. And in saying that, a lot of our products that you will see in this presentation, I deliberately did not delve deep into their application rates and more so their particular function, because we have agronomists the length and breadth of Jamaica, and if you so desire to find out more information, we can be contacted as well. We also have our calendars and crop guides that give more specific information on these individual products, so you can familiarize yourselves with them as well. All right, moving forward. Georgia, I can't move my screen. I can't move my screen, you hear me? Okay. Yeah, I can't move my screen. Okay.
We're having some technical difficulties. Just give us a few minutes.
As usual. Still not able to move it, Georgia. Yeah.
I'm not sure what's the problem.
Yeah, exited. I stopped the share, exited, and went in back to share, and I'm not able to move my screen still. They're touching me.
You want me to share screen?
Yes, yes, please do
Okay.
so, because I can't move that.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that, everyone. You know, these technical hiccups,
Stop sharing there.
they're always there. But while we wait for this to be sorted, just a reminder that the crop program or the nutrient solutions that we suggest, there are more guide tools and not hard and fast. So each farmer situation is different, and therefore a different approach or a tweaked approach will be needed for each situation. So it is important for you, the farmer, to understand crop nutrition and the physiology of the plant, sweet pepper, so you can therefore understand how crop nutrition ties in with plant growth. And once you understand this, you will be able to tweak as you go along. So here we go. Georgia, you'll be moving the screen. Oh. So today we'll go through the different growth stages of sweet pepper as I was just talking about. We look at what is base fertilizing, split application, fertigation, foliar nutrition, and we'll also have some farmer testimonials. These topics, base fertilizing and split application, will be more on the granular side of fertilizers, and then fertigation will look on the water soluble side. So base fertilization and split application will speak solely to granular fertilizer application. Okay, so an introduction. It's a sweet pepper presentation, and by now we should know that sweet pepper is a member of the Solanaceae family. So we're speaking about Irish potato, hot pepper. Those are family members of sweet pepper. And it is one of those crops that, because it is multiple fruiting, the nutrient requirement is going to be great. So it's a heavy use of NPK. And different varieties will require different amounts of nutrients. Saying that to say that higher yielding varieties, longer yield, or varieties that are slower to maturity will require more nutrients than, say, a quicker yielding variety. Okay? And in order for us to really maintain that optimal crop yield, or crop nutrition has to be kept on point. Click. All right. So we know that, as I mentioned before, sweet pepper is a multiple fruiting crop. So for us to carry out that, the soil fertility must be consistently high. So it's not a one-off thing where we just dump some fertilizer and then the crops miraculously bear peppers and we just reap and we continue to reap. No, we have to keep that soil fertility high in order for the plants to fully optimize the yields. And the plants respond well. We found that the plants respond very well to a mixed nutrient program. So we're speaking about different ways of applying fertilizer or nutrients to these plants now. So we speak about a foliar application, applying it to the leaves, speaking about whether drip irrigation based on your setup or your situation on your farm. And we're also speaking about granular application. So the plants respond well to these kind of mixed variables because each solution offers a different approach in its nutrient delivery. So when we look at crop nutrition on a whole, our approach would be to provide the products that are the nutrients and match them with the different stages of crop development. So when we can do that, we can therefore optimize our yield. So if we can provide specific nutrients that the plant will need at a particular time in its development, we can maximize our yield. And by doing so, we target, as I mentioned before, the nutrition in a granular format, a foliar format, and also in soluble lines to capture that wide array of farmers as well as the different stages of the crop development. Screen. Now, as I was saying in my introduction, for us to fully understand crop nutrition, and this is in general, not just for sweet peppers, it is very important for us to first understand the different developmental stages of the plant. So in sweet peppers, we have the vegetative stage. We're speaking about from transplant or seeding, but in this case for sweet peppers, it will be transplant up to that first budding. So we consider a vegetative stage. The flowering stage now we consider when that bud develops into a flower. Fruit set from when that flower develops into that initial fruit. And production is from that fruit set to your first harvest. And then if you notice, I have continued production in this because, as I've been saying, sweet peppers are multiple fruiting crops, so it's not one harvest. So after we've reached that first production, the game doesn't stop there. We have to continue keeping that plant in that stage of production, while at the same time fostering development of new flowers into fruits to continue that wave of production. So that's what I mean by continued production. So our crop program, our nutrient program, is centered around these growth stages of the plant. Because if we are able to know, or if we're able to provide the plant with the various nutrients needed at these stages, then we can definitely optimize our yield. And that is what the CCGL nutrient program is about. So this slide is giving you a visual of just some of the micronutrients that are needed in the various stages. Because when it comes to crop nutrition, oftentimes we tend to stress or emphasize NPKs. And yes, they are macronutrients, and they are the nutrients needed in the largest amounts. However, it still doesn't overshoot the importance of micronutrients or microelements or trace elements, as some people might know it, because these elements carry out very specific functions or roles when it comes to the overall plant development. So we can speak about NPKs, and we know that the nitrogen most time is for vegetative growth. We know that phosphorus for root development, potassium do some food stores of carbohydrates. We know that, and that's all good and well. But we also need to know that secondary elements like calcium, magnesium, and sulfur play a very important part in photosynthesis, building the cell wall, get me? Breakdown of certain amino acids. These are important functions that add to the development of the plant and, in finality, the quality of the fruits, because we are growing sweet peppers for the quality of the fruit. So the quality of the fruit has to be also be kept in mind when we're speaking about crop nutrition. So we see that in the initial stage, Georgia, back to the slide, we are seeing iron, zinc, manganese, and these are needed throughout the early stage vegetative stage, and then iron continues through the flowering and production, because as I said, iron is very important in chlorophyll synthesis. So you can match that stage of development with that particular nutrient. Boron, not so much, but it is also important in cell wall production. So we can tie boron with calcium. And a segue for this would be like our CalMax B. So when we speak about specific nutrition, that's why we tie those two nutrients in a product, in one product. So when we say this product is able to thicken your cell walls, make your peppers firmer, and have more density, and this is what we're speaking about. It's not a miracle number. It's so because the science dictates so. So boron, magnesium, calcium and boron work well together in terms of cell wall formation. And we have that in CalMax B. Slide. All right. So in our granular lines, and this is a segue to the next slide, we have two lines of fertilizers, Elixir and Abaddon blends. Now, both fertilizers are low in filler material and impurities. So it means, therefore, you get what you pay for. So by weight, you get what you pay for. There's no extra mal or filler, as we call it, to rob you of your hard-earned cash in your fertilizer bag. Additionally, these NPKs are also mixed with trace elements to help to build a complete formulation and allows for the nutrient, a quick and easy nutrient uptake in the plant. So both Elixir and Abaddon fertilizers can be used. Yes, right click to the cycle charger. Can be used in our base fertilization. And a lot of times, farmers may wonder what we mean by base fertilization. But it's actually just putting some fertilizer in the soil, adding some nutrients in the soil before you even seed or transplant. And this creates a very nutrient-ready environment or nutrient-rich environment for the seedlings. Why we do base fertilization? Because oftentimes the soil is void of certain nutrients that the developing seedling needs right away. So that seedling that has been transplanted needs to enter a medium, which is the field or your greenhouse. But in this case, it's a granular thing, so it'll be more your field. It needs to be introduced into a nutrient-rich environment so that we have no delay in terms of development. Remember, those seedlings were in trays where they were being pampered, they were being given nutrient solutions, so they're used to that easy uptake. So the roots are there, rich, developing, and ready to pull nutrients. So if you transplant them into an environment that is harsh, meaning it's hotter, it's drier, and less nutrients, then the stress of that transplanting period would be so much greater than it needs to be. So one of those factors we can use to limit the stress is by creating a nutrient-rich environment, and we do that by base fertilization. Slide. Now, as I mentioned before, Elixir Zorka and Abaddon are two of our granular blends. Elixir Zorka is a compound fertilizer. Means that, and this is not a fertilizer training, however, it is a compound fertilizer, meaning that all the NPKs, all the nutrients, and the trace elements that can be found in that formulation is held in a single granule. So each granule in an Elixir Zorka bag, for example, this 7-20-30 that you're seeing on the screen, each granule contains 7:20:30 ratio. So in applying this fertilizer, you need not worry about uniformity of the nutrients in terms of how they physically scatter when you spread them, because each granule contains same amount, 7:20:30. And it's highly soluble, so it's taken up very easily by the plants. Slide. The grades that we offer for Elixir Zorka in terms of matching the phenological stage of the plant, sweet pepper. We have a 16:27, and I wanted to take note of these blends. They are not just standard 14:28, 14, 11:22, or 15:5. These blends have been selected in order to give you, the farmer, that much more precision when it comes to plotting or when it comes to developing your nutrient program. So it's all about trying to make the nutrient program as precise as possible. So these blends are geared towards that, making it more precise. So we have a 16:27 plus amasulfan. Amasulfan is our sulfate of ammonia, high quality. And then we have a 12:12:17. And for our continued production, we have a 7:20:30. So I implore you to get familiar with these blends and also try them to improve your production, because they are very effective in doing so. This leads me on to mention split application. Now, oftentimes we can understand when we get an application rate for particle nutrients. For in this case, we say 100 to 291 pounds per acre, or 120 to 320 kilograms per hectare. And that can be alarming in some cases, because we don't expect to apply all of this fertilizer at once. We don't eat everything at once. So a split application is where you take the total amount of nutrient required for the plant, for in this case sweet pepper, and split it in increments. So we make incremental applications of the nutrients. We also have here Elixir amasulfan again as one that can be used in a split application. This is a sulfate of ammonia. And we will see, and we know that nitrogen is needed in the various growth stages. So for to use this as an example, as you see there, we need 25% of our NPK at base fertilization. So before planting, we'll do that mix, add that to the soil, incorporate that to the soil. And then we go ahead now, transplant our seedlings. And as the plant develops, maybe at about week 3, we can add some more nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium as it's so required by the different growth phases. Slides. And as I was mentioning, the reason for split application is it's made in increments. So it provides a timely delivery of the nutrients, because we know that fertilizers, nutrients, especially nitrogen, is very volatile. And in our climate, it is easily lost to the atmosphere. Also, we have certain nutrients like phosphorus, which becomes very easily tied up in the soil. So we can't have phosphorus in a form that is unavailable to the plant. Most time you look on the phosphorus, you may see in a P2O5, phosphorus pentoxide, is an oxide of phosphorus. So that is usable by the plant. But once that gets into the soil now, we have different elements already in the soil, and the whole chemistry of it, that oxide will be changed. So the phosphorus can be in the soil and it can also be tied up. When we speak about time application also, we speak about the salinity and how the salinity and pH is affected by the nutrients that we put on. Oftentimes, we have soils that may be under saline conditions. And we know when we say salt, we're speaking about sodium and chlorine. So in the little chemistries, sodium often, that's a positive line, that's a cation. Sodium can actually block the potassium uptake of the roots. The chlorine can block the nitrogen uptake. So the salinity therefore can affect how certain nutrients are taken up by the plant. So it's very important that we pay attention to these factors when we speak about split application. A split application, by regulating the amount of salt fertilizer you put in the soil each time, can help to manage that salinity. So the soil is never too saline to block the transfer of the real nutrients that we want to be going to the plants. As I mentioned, or have been mentioning, Abodom is one of our granular fertilizer blends as well, and it too can be used in the base application and split application. We have the rates here. You don't need to really tie yourself to the rates, but this is more a presentation for you to appreciate how a crop program is developed around the plant development. So the numbers are there, but to me, the numbers aren't really important. It is how best, the takeaway from this training that I want you to have is how you can understand to tie particular nutrients with the development of the crop. Sweet pepper in this case. Slide. Slide, go on. So this table is again showing you how we would incorporate the Abodom fertilizer in the different stages. So we have the initial, which is the base fertilization. We would use a 14, 28, 14. Now we spoke about how the phosphorus needs to be there and ready and is easily tied up. So we go in with a 14, 28, 14, or almost, or sulfate of ammonia, or sulfan would be the elixir, would be used in a split application. And the early split again would be at 1122. And we have the 1122, 14, 28, 14, and 15, 5, 35 in both a normal release, I would call it quick, and a slow release. So based on where the crop is, you can choose to use a slow release so as to stagger that nutrient delivery, which is also very important because that in itself is behaving as a split application by staggering the nutrient release to the plant. And you can also always toggle that. So that's what I mean by toggling that's what I mean by saying each farm operation, each farm situation will require a little tweaking. So it is in your best interest as a farmer to fully understand what it means to develop the program so you can tweak it to match your system. Slide. I know I was told to make it as interactive as possible. And here I am going blabbering on, but I hope that the questions that you have to ask, just make a note of them and I'll try to answer them at the end. If you feel that the question is that burning and it's not as interruptive to my presentation, then you can just raise a hand and I'll pause for a few and try to sip it in so that it can help the whole process for everyone to understand. So as I mentioned before, sweet pepper is one of those plants that benefits from a well-rounded nutrient program. So we speak about in the outfield situation where farmers may have fertigation, then they would opt to use a water-soluble form. If not granular, they could use the and elixir. And both these forms of crop nutrition would also include or take on a foliar part to it as well. So we are including the foliar application with either a granular application or a fertigation system. Our fertigation line or a water-soluble line that we are focused on is called Agave. And we have this again in rates or in a formulation that is tweaked to match different stages of plant development, sweet pepper development. So as you see here, we have a 2020 and 1836 and so on. And these products can be used whether or not you have a bulk tank or you're running a venture system. It's just a matter of calculating and matching it to your system. So either system works. Basically, what they are is delivering the nutrient in a solution. And that's what we're focused on, delivering it in a solution. Again, this table is showing formulations and how we match them to the stage of the sweet pepper development. So the agasol 1535-15, we're going again with a high phosphorus initially because we want to get that root system down. And this is very important. I'm going to delve a little into this. It's very easy for us to get caught up with looking at foliage development and thinking that the plant is growing well. And we get caught up with this from in the seedling stage, where a lot of persons use the leaf to judge. Say, yeah man, the plant healthy man, the plant will grow fast. And when you really pull up that plant and look at the root, we're not seeing much root ball at all. There's very little root mass. And the irony of this is that same plant that appears to be very healthy in the nursery stage, because that nursery stage is kind of a artificial environment in the sense that it will not be the environment the plants will be grown in. So the plants are being fed this high nitrogen diet and they respond by putting out leaves and growing tall. However, to the detriment of you, the farmer, and the plant, once those seedlings are transplanted. Once you've transplanted those seedlings, you'll soon realize that what you thought to be a plant that was leading just suddenly hit reverse, and sometimes in park, because it had no root system, it has no root system, and therefore now is unable to take up or compete in the real world outfield situation that you now put it in. So I'm saying that to say we are using a high phosphorus formulation to help with that initial root development. Is very, very important. I can't overstress how important it is to get that root mass up. So once you transplant and you do the base fertilization that I mentioned, the roots are there to fully pull up those nutrients that are available in the soil. Because listen, if there are no roots and you dump a truckload of fertilizer, nothing not will happen. The roots need to be there for the nutrients to be absorbed and for the plants to make full use of that. So enough said on that. So we've gone through root applications. I'm going to call them that. So both the granular, and water-soluble nutrients are applied to the soil or medium. So that's a root zone application. And remember, I mentioned that sweet pepper benefits from a compound or a whole complete, holistic or complete nutrient program. So we have foliar applications as well. And we can toggle with the foliar, we can toggle with the chemistries or the makeup of these foliar products by how they deliver macro and micronutrients, so we can toggle with the blends. And our line would be the Omex, Miller, and Agave line. And importantly, all three lines are chlorine-free. And it's very important to mention the chlorine. Chlorine for the same reason why I mentioned the salinity, the same reason when in all like chemistry 101, you know, a lot of times things happen in the soil and it's actually basic chemistry. So we know salts, like salts have strong base and weak acid and form alkaline solution. That kind of chemistry 101 thing. So it works in the real world. So all three lines are chlorine free. And in the Omex line, as I said, not going to delve too much into what they do, but we have the Bio 20, 45 Calmax B, and so on in cytokine. You can always contact us for more detail on these. And as I mentioned, they are in our calendars and our crop guides for the specific rates of application as well. Slide. So here to give you a visual, if you can see, to help you to select when you go in the stores. We have Nutrient Express, Solid Grow, and we use the Solid Grow again with the high phosphorus, 48, in the seedling stage. So I'm trying to get you, or get your thought process in how we match the nutrient, particular nutrient, with the development of the crop. So if you were following, you'd have realized that when we say root development, we'd want a high phosphorus based fertilizer or nutrient source. So we speak about 12-48-8. So that's solid grow that we use in our nursery development. Get those roots up, get that root ball thick and white and ready for transplant. And then we have our growth regulators, cytokine, cytoplex, to help with the whole transfer of our auxins, gibberellic acid, and all that. Green stem, anti-stress. We know that once the plants have been taken out of that nursery situation, without a doubt, they come under some stress. And that is inevitable. We can't stop that. However, we can limit the amount of stress. And by limiting that, when we speak about limiting that, we're concerning ourselves with water, nutrient supply, and the whole preparation of the field, outfield, or greenhouse unit prior to the transplanting. So these are some of the things we can do to limit the amount of stress the seedlings go under. And ZMC Express, which is an excellent product that a lot of farmers don't know as yet, or they should know if they are serious about sweet pepper production, because ZMC is what we term as a finishing product, and it has that boron, as I mentioned, that is needed to help with the thickening of the cell walls along with calcium. So the boron would work with the calcium. Omex, another high quality product that we offer at Caribbean Chemicals. Bio 20, 45 Calmax B, by 20 kelp seaweed extract. What can I say? Excellent product in terms of root development and overall development of the seedlings and plant in the early stage as well. Fortify is a high phosphorus base, phosphorus phosphates to help with that development of the plant, build the plant immunity to help ward off certain diseases, fungal problems, etc. Calmax B, calcium, again with some boron. And as I've been mentioning, these are positioned to match different stages of development. So while in the application of these products should also match the application of your Abodam, Elixir, and Agasol. The formulation should match so that the stage of development flows and is maximized at each stage. Finally, but by no means least, we have our Agafert line. And this, again, is in a different range in terms of formulation. It's a granular formulation. We offer it in a Green Max, Nutrimax, Root Max. Those are just developed names. So you can match the NPKs to see why. It's very clear why I would call them that. The Root Max is a high phosphorus, Green Max is a high nitrogen base, Nutrimax is a straight 2020. And all these formulations have trace elements. So you're not just delivering, as were the earlier ones, we're not just talking about NPKs, as I mentioned in the very get-go of this presentation. So important to maintain, and you saw it yourself on the slide that showed the importance of trace elements in the development of the plant and the sweet pepper fruit itself. Because remember, you know, at the end of the day, we are selling sweet peppers. We are growing sweet peppers. We are not growing big, tall, lush, sweet pepper tree leaf. Growing the plants to produce fruits. So we want, at the end game, well-developed fruits with qualities and texture that is desired by the market. So this crop program is geared towards just that, producing high quality fruits and optimizing the yield. So we have to stress that, you know, quality of the fruits. It makes no sense we have high yield and poor quality. That still is going to equate to low profit, because lower quality fruits will have to be sold for a lower price, oftentimes to a different market, may not be included in the fresh market, may have to go to a different market. So we're aiming for high quality grade A fruits with an improved yield. Slide. These are just some of the varieties that we offer under our No New seed line. We have Red Star. If you are a sweet pepper farmer, then you would have known some of these varieties. If not, you need to know some of these varieties. Red Star, Blue Star, Purple Star, Polaris, Green Bell. And although we have these down as open field varieties, some of them have been successfully grown in greenhouses, particularly so the Polaris and the Purple Star. I've seen them successfully grown in greenhouses. Farmers have capitalized on them. They said they wanted a greenhouse variety, but hey, they used the open field variety, Purple Star and Polaris, and got good production. Our Green Bell or NS292, that is a Namdari seed. So we have no new Namdari seeds here. Slide. For greenhouse varieties now, we have Red King and Yellow King. And these are, as I mentioned, greenhouse varieties. And if you are listening carefully in the earlier part of the presentation, you heard me mention that the variety, the crop nutrition will vary according to the variety of peppers. So this is one such case. These are greenhouse peppers. The crop nutrition will have to be so much more on point because these are high yielding F1 peppers. So therefore the nutrition requirement of these peppers will be greater. So it requires the farmer to be more cognizant of tailoring a correct nutrient program, as well as how he monitors the overall crop care program of these peppers. So bear that in mind. Slide. Oh, we're here already. Oh, so in this slide, we're just going to look a little briefly on the top, just some successes that we've been having in our CCJ sweet pepper program. Now I'm going to stop at a particular slide and explain as we go. So this is in Westmoreland. This farmer, Alvin Fowler. When I went to the farm, the plants were severely down, big phosphorus deficiency. There was little or no of high water deprivation. So as you'll see, slide, Georgia. Right, so this is what I'm talking about. So this is the initials. This is how the plants were. And by some great mercy, he contacted me and we started from here. So the plants were just out, down and out. Slide. So 2 months after, and now this is where I'm going to explain. So you might be wondering to yourself, oh, but the field in bush and yes, there's heavy mite infestation. Well, let me explain. So from the first slide you saw where there was nothing, he was introduced to the program when he started using Fortify, and he added some Cytoplex on the Miller line with it, right? So we're moving from here to the next slide in 2 months' time. So the difference, no, Georgia, back. Right, so we are here, that's a 2 months difference between those two slides. Now, I took this picture very, very late. So in that 2 months, he had reaped and was reaping and was only reaping. So I'm so glad that the plant them start produce, that him forget about everything else. Farmer stop spray, tap, weed, bush, everything. So while I'm there basking in the joy and victory of harvest, the mites took over. And he wasn't paying any attention to that because prior to me introducing him to the program, the plants had been there 4 months. And so what you saw initially was 4 months of peppers at that stunted stage, doing nothing. So you had them for 4 months and they were doing nothing, not moving. So now that they've started to bear fruit and put out leaves, green leaves, I'm so glad him stop street for nothing else, in just a reap. So just saying that to say, although the program did work, as you can see for yourself, development of the leaves and the plant and everything, the whole change in the leaf color and everything, fruits, you also have to bear in mind the entire crop program and crop care. So you have to bear in mind that it's not just about nutrition. When we speak about sweet pepper and other crops, you have to bear in mind pest and disease. So in this case, yes, the nutrition program did work. However, the overall crop care program failed. Slide. All right, this is a farmer, Adrian Robinson in Perth Town, Trelawney. He was just trying out, he was introduced to our slide. He was introduced to our, you can change the slide, Georgia. He was introduced to our purple star variety, Nandar, onion sweet peppers, and he planted them, but he also, when planting them, he wanted more. So he started using our foliar line with Nutrient Express, cytokine, and green stem from the Miller line. And at fruit development, mid-fruit development, he started applying Calmax B. And this was the result. Firm peppers. And you notice these are colored, these are purple colored peppers. So if these peppers aren't well developed, they don't get that brilliant purple. They get somewhat whitish. So a way to judge that these peppers are fully developed in terms of nutrient delivery is the bright purple color that they develop. And this is not a very large pepper. However, what you're seeing here, they are well developed, glossy, and are bright color. So this was also a success story with both the variety and the nutrient program. Here we have another farmer in Alligator Pond, Laverne Reed. She used our Agasol line to change her production completely. So she realized that when she used that, she was getting larger, firmer peppers, and she was reaping for longer period. Remember, you know, we say this is a continued production. So we're trying to extend the life of production, not just the life of the crop, no, the productive life. Because if you have sweet pepper plant for 2 years, not produce nothing, you're not in it. We're trying to extend the productive life of the pepper plants. Slide.
Dale.
Yes, Georgia?
There's a question on YouTube. What is the lifespan of trees and how many crops?
Well, you know that question was like, I set up myself, I knew that was coming. As I was saying, the lifespan of the plant is dependent on the care. It's very important now. The lifespan of plant is dependent on the care. So you, the farmer, based on your crop program, that is the lifespan. I mean, for example, a productive life, a acceptable productive life of a sweet pepper plant, we're looking at, we don't want to expand past in an outfield 8 months. And that is long, but that's not good care. You get me? Some people might have sweet pepper and by month 5, by month 5, them gone down. You get me? It can also depend on the variety. Some varieties are high yield, quick into production, high yielding, and then that they're out. Like if I were to call it like California Wonder. California Wonder is one of those peppers that comes in quick, but you know, by reach about month 5 going up, 6, it is out, and don't try to fight it. You can get about 3 good reaps from that, 3, 4 good reaps from that. Don't try to fight it out. Different varieties, the life is different, and based on your crop care program, it can also make a difference. So you need to know that, and that's a good question, because you need to know that and have that in the back of your head or in the back of your nutrient plan, the lifespan of that particular variety. So you know that what you're observing in the field, you know when you're at the point where you need to stop, back off, because no matter what you apply, this is not going to change. This is the natural order of the plant. This is based on variety and not a disease problem, not a pest problem, not a crop care problem. So you need to know what the different varieties will do and their lifespan. All right, so this is, I hope that answered the question. And this is Laverne after she used the Agasol 9. So she used the line. So it was the 2020 you see there, and then she was in that. She used the line coming up. And if you notice, when you know, if you know anything about sweet pepper, when you see sweet pepper having that sheen, you know, so they are at full maturity. Firm to the touch. And she also reaped in the control area that was done by my colleague. She reaped 350 pounds in the control area as opposed to 140 from the control. So I need to say night and day difference. Slide. Right. Now this slide was just put here for reference. So this was also a farmer, so Williams, he's in Devon, Manchester as well. And this was with our NS292, our green bell. And this also was done by my colleague, Dane Parker. When we speak about yield, it's very important that farmers understand that we not only speak about the amount, but we're speaking about overall quality and weight. Look at this scale. 2 sweet peppers, 1 pound. And notice, they're not like massively abnormal or out of the scale, but they are dense. Saying that to say that the use of Calmax B, ZMC Express at the right time in delivering the right nutrients, which we looked at, the boron, the calcium, the manganese, all those nutrients being delivered at the right time, right stage of development of the plant will result in this thick cell walls. And that's what we want when we speak about sweet pepper. Thick cell walls. A sweet pepper should be crisp when we try to break it. It should actually have a pop to it, a crunch. Nobody really wants a soggy sweet pepper that when they're pressing against it, it's sinking in and they're not even crack. So this is what we speak about when we speak about improved quality and yield, marketable yield. Yield that once you get it, you sell it at premium price, A quality. So this was what this slide was for, to emphasize the end game of the CCGL crop nutrient program, sweet pepper program. This is the end game, marketable yield, improvement in marketable yield. All right. This is a question and answer segment, but I'll first pose my question. I'll pose my question first. What was my question again? All right. What will they get, Jordan, if I get the question right? All right, for my question, it is...
You get an Agave.
Oh, I get an Agave.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so here goes my question. It's a two-part. What factor affects potassium and nitrogen uptake by the plant roots in the soil? And what problem could it lead to? So let me go again. What factor affects the potassium and nitrogen uptake by the plant roots in the soil? And what problems could it lead to? All right, that's my one question. It's not so hard. So I hope you take the lead and don't ask me those hard questions. So follow my lead now. Easy question to easy question. What do this now? I see chat. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for your... Oh, that's you, Georgia.
You may send your answers via the chat, or you can open your mic and answer.
Oh, I was to say that.
Yes, that's fine. Repeat the question, Dale.
Oh, my question was, what factor affects potassium and nitrogen uptake by plant roots in the soil? And what problems could it lead to? A two-part thing.
All right, so Enric Francis said chlorine and the pH in the soil.
No, no, in the sense that with regards to this presentation, yes, they can do, but with regards to this presentation, Henry, with regards to this presentation, what we just went through. So yes,
all right,
but no for this presentation.
Another person said low Luton. You said that salts affect the soil.
Mm-hmm. You know when your lecturer say you have the germs of the idea, but you just see somebody saying something here, so Molo. Silent harvest going constant. Mola the winner. Mola the star, man.
What is his answer? What's Muller's answer? Don't say.
Salinity affects and chlorine causes stunted growth and low yield. Yeah, man. Mola. I like Mola answer. With regards to the presentation, yeah, Mola thing. Yeah, I like Mola. You're right, Mola. So
I'm going to ask Muller to send information, his contact number to me.
Right.
You can send it via the chat.
Yeah, remember
or the WhatsApp.
We mentioned that salinity can affect how the potassium ions are taken up because the sodium from the salt is sodium chloride, so sodium block, therefore the potassium is taken up and then the chlorine block nitrogen. So yeah, the salinity, definitely. And then it's going to lead to stunted growth and low yield. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, man, Molo, take it, man. You slapped it, right? Not to say that Henrik wasn't right in terms of his page channel, but with regards to this presentation.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm on a sharp and in chemistry.
Henrik is asking how long before. Henrik is saying how long before there.
What?
He says how long before.
Before what?
I'm not sure.
Who's asking that? You said that's
open your mic and ask the question.
Lowliton person, you said that source affect the soil. Yes,
Marceline has her hand up. Marceline, can you open your mic and go ahead?
Afternoon. Quick question, two actually. How soon after transplanting can I use the 2814 or the 6? What is it?
1627.
Yeah. After transplanting, if I don't incorporate it in the soil prior to.
I was going to say you would have put that in the soil with base fertilization. Well, you want to add fertilizers to the soil if you're going to do that as soon as you realize that the plants have gone over that initial transplanting shock. So that's anywhere between week 1.5, week 2. Some people wait to week 3, depending on how the field conditions are. I mean, if it was a case where field is dry, irrigation, that's all, you might want to wait longer. But week 2 up, once you observe that the plants have gotten over that initial transplant period, you can apply the fertilizer. So that's not, again, that is not a hard and fast. It's tweaking to what you observe in your particular situation.
Okay, thank you.
Continue, Dale.
How long before planting such granular fertilizer?
He said, sorry. Oh.
How long before planting such granular fertilizer? Oh, see, one here is a question. He wanted to know how long before planting you need to put in the granular fertilizer in the soil. Oh, that's a good one. Again, it is dependent on your soil condition. So oftentimes, if you had no irrigation, whatsoever, you'd want to put the fertilizer in the soil in advance of a week or two before to get that phosphorus, particularly phosphorus, broken down into the soil. If you have irrigation, hello? If you have irrigation, it could be days, and 5 days before. Some people base fertilize and plant at the same time. So again, it's all varied. Some people fertilize while they are transplanting. So you put the fertilizer in, you blind the fertilizer with some soil, and you put the seedlings down. Some people base fertilize, cover that furrow or hole week or two in advance to transplanting. So again, as I said, it's tweaking based on the soil moisture and your type of setup, whether you have irrigation or not. If you're waiting on the weather for rain to fall to get some kind of soil moisture in, you might want to watch that weather and then put it in at least a week or so in advance to get it all mellowed out. Hope that answers it. How do I prepare the soil before planting? Oh, well, normally for sweet peppers, the sweet peppers like an open field setting or situation. So you're going with your primary plowing. Then you would furrow if you're doing it like that. Or if it is a small setting, you might be doing holes. But either way, the land prep would be to get the soil in a pliable state where there's no big stone, no big clods of soil. The soil is friable, so the seedlings can be introduced in the soil easily. You don't want to be hurrying where you're plowing and planting and trying to plant the same time or the day before. The soil needs to become friable so that the root zone or those new developing roots can be, how should I put now, caressed by the soil. So if you have big clods of soil, then you'll have some big air pockets around the roots, and those roots can potentially dry out and die, and then set back that whole transplant period. So again, to the first question that was asked, how soon after fertilize, it might be longer because you didn't prepare the soil properly. So you have that big stress period, and the plant now have to try to push out from new feeder roots, and the whole process is longer. So soil preparation should be in advance of transplanting. The soil should be friable. Good.
And I want to add to that, Dale. We did a presentation on sweet pepper land prep last week. So it's on our YouTube page at Chem Jam. So you can watch it there.
Good job. Unrelated to this session, will you be doing a session on inviting fungus? We did the plant disease and thing in that too, right? Yeah.
Yes, last week.
Right. So we did the plant disease. So that was done. So you have to just look back on our social media platform, the YouTube. And see where that presentation was done. Does Agchem offer soil test to farmers? No, we don't, you know. No, we don't. Oh, Georgia, you're answering these via typing.
Yeah.
so late.
There's a question on YouTube, Adrian McLean. The factors which affects root uptake of nutrients is the salinity of the soil. Oh, it's an answer. And it can result in stunted.
That gone already, bro. That gone already, bro.
Can I get the products in Spanish Town, St. Catherine? Yes, there are farm stores.
Oh.
No, that's on YouTube. Bin Laden. So there are several farm stores in the Spanish Town area. You can get the products there. Or you can give us a call at 876-757-0022 and we can direct you to the specific store depending on the product that you want.
Yeah, brother,
or you can
Hello?
Upcoming events.
Yeah, I know not about Spanish Town area, bro. So, yeah, more be my thing there. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dale.
Oh, me just realized no, Molo is Mr. Mulgate. Yo, my boss. All right, Mr. Mulgate, say a word. Farmer them a chat, man. Unrelated.
All right, so
what is the best space?
Upcoming events?
Wait, I'm seeing this, Georgia. What is the best spacing for planting of sweet peppers? Okay. No, this one is my questions seem to be following a pattern. This one is also based again on your particular setup, but traditionally in an outfield situation, we do a 2x2. We do a 2x2 planting here in Jamaica. That will give it just enough space for the plants to develop so they don't crowd each other. But I mean, you can always tweak it. And that outfield situation was really based off a rain-fed situation. But if in a case you have drip system, you can always tweak that. You probably might know instead of 2x2, you can try 2x1. It's going to be a tight squeeze, yes, but suppose you can get those plants into high production quick, reap what to reap, and get them on. So we're not looking at an extended time of, as I was mentioning, over 7 months going. You're thinking about a 5-month, 5.5-month period, and you're gone again. So it is dependent on your system. But traditionally, we go 2x2. And that will give you about 10,000 something, near 11,000 plants to the acre. Yeah.
Okay. Then more questions, you can go to the upcoming events.
Yes, hello.
Okay. All right, so for upcoming events, as usual, we have our Farming Today program every Wednesday on Power 106 FM. And we'll be continuing our talk on crop nutrition in sweet pepper production. And I'll be there and I'll be joined by my co-host, Dean Parker. He's also my colleague, PDA for the Northwest. I mean, he's PDA for the Central region. And again on Tuesday.
Not hearing you.
Hello?
Go ahead, we weren't hearing you.
Oh, you heard the first part?
Yeah, that's the first part.
Okay, so again, the Farming Today program is every Wednesday on for 106. And that's at 6:18 of our regular program. So we'll be talking about sweet pepper production. And I'll be joined by Dane Parker, who is a product development agronomist for the Central region. So we'll be continuing our talk on sweet pepper production tomorrow. On Tuesday, November the 16th, we'll also have a Zoom farmer training also, and it will be also on YouTube. And we're looking at export business development, and that will be hosted by Winston Scott.
We're looking at technology in farming.
Yes, my slide is Scott. So that's how we're trying to incorporate. So we not only are focused on the chemistries, but we're also trying to include more innovative ways to pull farmers to the core. So technology in farming will be that one. And here we have our sales agronomists as well as our product development agronomists. As I said, we can be found throughout the length and breadth of the island. We have Mr. Dennis Leckie and Mr. Patrick Kenyon over there, northeastern side. We have Sian Spence and Andre Rance in the St. Elizabeth region. Dean Parker and Charmaine Walker Central, and Jonah Johnson and Jadon Dillon in the eastern part, and myself and Oluda Shaw in the northwestern region. So for more information, you can always contact anyone there, and you can also contact the head office at Ashenai Road for more detail on the products or any farm-related information. Thanks again all for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to bring new information to you. Thank you. That's it, Georgia.
Yes, Dale. Thank you so much. Have a